Hello and welcome to the Rapnik Minute, a Movies by Minute podcast where we go over the movie Starship Troopers 1 minute at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Matthew.
And I'm your other host, Johan.
And we're at credit episode 3. And this credits episode begins with spaceship visual effects by Sony Pictures Imageworks Inc., Culver City, California. They did an amazing job on the spaceships.
Yep. I'm assuming that maybe they lent a hand with the Starship Troopers game. I don't know. Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I think the game itself, one person did on our Facebook group did try to reach out to us to say, hey, we have a copy of the game if you want it. I'm like, dude, yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, but what system? Is it a PC?
It's PC. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then all you got to do is just like boot up a VM or something like that and get it running.
Yeah, because that's what I do when I play Arcanum.
Mm-hmm.
I still have never finished that game, but it's so fun to play.
I'm actually going for miniature photography units. The supervisor of the miniature photography units, Don McCabe, and additional director of photography, Scott Campbell. These guys were doing the close-up macro shots on the tiny, itty-bitty ships, basically. Like if you had a small version of a Corvette that was maybe around 6 inches long, these guys were shooting it.
Yep, and I do have a couple pictures of these Corvettes that are about the length of a pencil.
Ooh.
Yep. So speaking of miniatures, we do have a credit here for the Thunderstone Model Shop. I looked online to see what they had worked on instead of going through IMDb because their page is fascinating with all the stuff they've worked on. There was a guy that I found on there who was their painter. His name was Jay Adden. Anytime that the Corvettes got a logo on it or anything like that, he was the guy that painted it. Basically, they built the model. Any of the times that we said, like, that looks cool because of that burn on it, that was this guy. So on their page for Jay Adden on Flickr, they show the Corvettes that are about the size of a workshop pencil, which could be possibly less than 6 inches. But then they also have a Corvette that a guy is standing next to. It's pretty insane to see. They have the model of the Corvette that Ibanez was pulling out of the dock, definitely showing that the hoses were the only things that were CG and the model was coming out. So basically, it was just cool to actually have proof in the pudding of like the actual shot that they were doing. I know Matt had brought up before that there was one of the Corvettes that was numbered 125. On Jay Adden's page, we get to see what the name of that ship was because all of them were named something. The name of the ship was called Frank is Love. and the reason why it was called that was it refers to their shop coordinator, Frank Vittori. He was basically the one that was responsible for handing out paychecks every week. So that's why Frank is Love.
Unfortunately, Frank is Love did go down.
Yeah, it did. But after that, they also show the Corvette that was cut literally in half. So you see like all the burn on it. It's just so cool.
Oh yeah, we've had a couple of those pictures as the episode pictures that a couple times.
Yeah. So the name is Jayaddan. If you guys are interested in looking at it, one of the floor spaces of the workshop is just a fleet of Corvettes, all different sizes and different colors, probably because they're working on it at separate times. And they even have a couple of the Vikings and Thunderbolts, like just many miniatures, which is just, it's so cool to see.
Micro Machines.
Yeah, basically. One of the things that was on his page, the Viking that they have in there, the size of the top of a soda can. It's that small, and he painted it.
I mean, if you got to do, this guy is probably really good at 40K miniatures as well, too.
They actually make a bunch of them.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
It's on their page. They make a bunch of 40K. What's it called? I don't see any of the miniatures just yet. Like I said, their page is pretty big, but they do have the corridors of like an interior. So like as you're moving your group through corridors fighting various monsters. God dang it, what is the name of the monsters there with the 4 arms? I think it starts with a K. But anyways, They did work on some of the minis for Warhammer 40k. I don't see anything for the Warhammer Fantasy, which I actually did play. But it's definitely kind of cool that they did work on that. One of the things that I thought was really, really cool about what Jay Adden worked on is the old con tower, or not old, but it's an old model of the con tower of the Star Destroyer from Star Wars. He painted the Millennium Falcon that goes on it.
Oh, well, and it's like hitching a ride.
Yeah, before it hits the light speed, dumps out with the garbage and everything. Yeah, he painted that scene.
Ooh.
Yeah. So they do a lot of like interesting work. On the credits of IMDb, it's just a mass amount of credits because it's a lot of people that are working on it, obviously. But they even have the scene of like where the two Corvettes are about to crash into each other, and like on theirs, the Viking that was doing a drop, picking him up at the outpost. It's all there. It's just, it's so cool. Obviously it's no secret that Matt and I actually do enjoy these minis, but man, it's just so cool to see. Like, just because you see it on screen, some reason it's cooler to see it not on screen. Kind of like the production value of it. The Space Ticonderoga is, it looks like it's about close to maybe 7 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just so cool to see all this work onto it. His page is full. Right. His page is full of like stuff. It's so fun to look at all these things. But yeah, that's where I kind of got stuck when I was looking at the model shop. Instead of looking at all the other credits they did, I spent so much time just looking at the stuff they actually built. And the stuff that they have for Starship Troopers definitely populates the majority of it.
All right, I want to bring up one person that we would not have this movie without for sure, and that's John Kazin. Now, he was the pyro technician for this movie. That included blowing up any of the ships, any of the actual models that needed blowing up. He did it. And he actually still works today as in his company Surefire FX, and they are fully licensed and bonded in the state of California. Plus with CAL FIRE too.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you need practical effects, a good explosion makes it, because you don't want like some fake looking fire explosion. Even though fire has like started looking really, really good with CG, a physical explosion still looks amazing.
Yeah. I mean, if you've seen, what is it called? Tropic Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the budget that's put into pyros and all the stuff that's actually on there. Basically, when you see them screw up at the first 20 minutes of the film, and you see how much that costs, a lot of these guys get only one take to do it right.
Exactly.
So their timing is on point. Every mixture that they have to do, that stuff is on point. If you've seen Mythbusters, when they try and basically when they create the stuff that's used to make the explosion, whether or not they bleep out certain things, you know that their mixing is so precise for exactly what they need to do, and it's controlled at the same time, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has done pretty much everything that you can think of. Tank Girl, as you were talking about before, Batman and Robin, Executive Decision, Contact. He was actually in Firestarter 2, Rekindled. Can you think of what he did on that one?
Let's see. I think he did the doilies that are sitting on the table. Am I right?
He may have. I'm not sure, but no, I'm pretty sure he was in charge of Pyro.
Ah, I was wrong.
Serenity, Arrested Development, Invasion, Sleeper Cell, I Am Legend, the movie, Boston Legal, 11th Hour, G.I. Joe, Rise of Cobra. Pretty much anywhere you can think that, hey, we need a nice controlled explosion, he did it. He's still working. Furious 7, SWAT, Young Sheldon, he's still working on stuff.
Yeah. These are, like I said, these are the overlaps again. Man, it'd be so cool to be in this industry because you get those overlaps. Mm-hmm. People bring you on because you do good work. Man, that's awesome.
So our next one that we have is special visual effects by Industrial Light and Magic,
Yep.
a division by Lucas Digital Limited, Marin County, California. Everyone knows ILM.
Yeah.
They are pivotal with miniatures and computer graphics nowadays.
And this is after they broke off, Pixar was broken off from them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the whole story about why Pixar got broke off from ILM?
I think it had something to do with Apple and Steve Jobs and everything.
Yeah, kind of. They did it for money because they went on a venture that cost ILM a lot of money. This is before ILM became ILM, so they sold a certain portion of ILM that eventually became Pixar. This failed project is Howard the Duck.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then also because of ILM stuff, they definitely became the game changer as water goes. I think we brought that up.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
So I do want to bring up, this is a point too. I didn't realize it at this point back in the day, but you remember how how nowadays we get like the long kind of intro sequence where we see all the production companies and everything?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing back then, but we didn't have it back then. It was just all like, oh, we have Sony Visual Entertainment, we have ILM, and especially this one as well too. We have Boss Film Studios. You know what they did?
6 Day, RoboCop, and 300.
No. They did one thing and one thing alone.
What?
Asteroid grazing visual effects
sequence. I thought you were talking about the people that were working on it.
No.
Okay, but the people that worked on it did work on 6 Day, though.
Probably.
Yeah. No, they did. A lot of them worked on 6 Day, 300 as well for visual effects. And Step Up 2.
You, man, the
Step
Up
is
there. We need to watch
Streets.
6 Day. We need to watch 6 Day.
And Step Up 2, The Streets, as well as High School Musical 3, The Senior Year.
And 6 Day.
Ugh. I think eventually it's going to happen, just not right now.
We need to watch it. Yeah, it's a good, decent movie, man.
But yeah, the scene where the asteroid does graze, like, it's just weird that you I guess it's not so weird, but it's weird at the same time to have a studio work specifically on that portion of the film.
Yeah, this was still an early point where, because you had CG effects and you wanted to get everything done on time. You had to. It's like how they do game development right now. You work on one certain part and then you put it all together. You send a certain shot or a couple other shots to one studio, send another one to another studio, and then you put it all together, because one production studio is not going to get it done. It would take 8-9 years to get one film done.
Yeah. So, because the Corvette was made as a miniature, and it seems like maybe a couple of these things were done with practical effects. In fact,
a lot of them were, yes.
Well, because one of the creditors here is a miniature unit producer, so definitely they were working with some minis here.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I bring that up is the visual effects supervisor, David M. Jones, worked on the miniatures and optical effects of A New Hope. And he was a consultant for Close Encounters of the Third Kind because of that giant UFO.
The city ship, yeah.
Yeah. So he worked on Hunt for Red October, one of your favorite movies.
Dude, I love Hunt for Red October.
And it says he was a model shop supervisor, so there's obviously something there that he did. Alien 3.
Dude, all the submarines in Hunt for Red October were models.
Okay, so he probably worked on that.
They're amazing looking.
He worked on Alien 3. He worked on Batman Returns. I know that there was a bunch of models there because of the penguins.
Mm-hmm.
He worked on Air Force One. And then
man, that's one movie that we need to watch together once again.
All right. And then he worked on Starship Troopers. Then he worked on a movie called Desperate Measures, which I'm
sorry. What movie? Starship Troopers? What movie is that?
We should definitely cover something about that.
We need to do something about that.
Anyway, so he worked on a movie called Desperate Measures that had Michael Keaton in it and Brian Cox. Like, it seemed to have a good cast on it, but I don't remember this movie at all. But it came out in 1998. I was working a lot at that time, so I don't remember a lot of these movies. But there's a huge gap. And then he became the model maker for Team America.
Really good.
Yeah. Like, he didn't work on anything for 16 years. And he came back to work on the models of America. And can't say the rest of the words on this podcast, but hey, there you go.
Yeah, man. I mean, one thing that that's kind of like I'm just thinking right now. Matt and Trey Parker are just like walking around, with their marionettes. They're like, "What can we do?" And this guy's just, taking off his coat. It says, "Honey, hold my coat. I got this."
No,
16 years, honey. It's been 16 years. You're done, aren't you? No, America needs me.
I actually went to a Comic-Con where they were showing a snippet, like basically the opening scene of Team America. And they said when they showed it to the execs, they didn't see the entire thing first because you see the really crappy marionettes at first. And they said their phones were blowing up because they were pissed off that that's where all the time and money went to. And then it opens up to that bigger thing of all the marionettes, and marionettes were working on other marionettes type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The panel that we saw, Matt, only took like 20 minutes because they were apparently jet lagged and they've been flying and doing a bunch of stuff. So they're like, "Any questions?" All right, cool. And then they were done. Like, it was
Peace
20
out.
minutes and it was like 40 minutes of blank. Which you could expect from those guys. But they said there was a scene where they're trying to get a marionette to take a shot and they couldn't do it. So,
it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Especially if you're dealing with liquid.
Liquid and a marionette trying to maneuver this liquid. So yeah, it was a funny thing. But yeah, if he worked on the models for that, I think he may. I know for the marionettes they were done by a completely different studio. But I would like to say he probably worked on the vehicles.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So.
And then we have human visual effects created by Kevin Yeager Productions.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Everything about this movie wouldn't have... I mean, Verhoeven probably handpicked them themselves, being like, no. I need the work of Kevin Yeager Productions. That stuff.
Yeah.
The blood, the viscera, the half the human head that has a brain in it. Breckenridge's blowing up head. Any of just the bodies laying around. Sujumi's legs.
Yeah.
Everything, man. Animatronics, prosthetic eyes, hair department, all that stuff. I mean, you needed all that stuff. What's this? Xander's head at the very end. That was done by, all these guys, David Hohen doing the prosthetic eyes, Richard Lalonde, doing his hair as well too. Gosh, I mean, this movie would not have been good enough if it was just corn syrup.
Yeah. I mean, I know you like your corn syrup because you enjoy the movie Blob, but
Yummy.
you couldn't have gone quite anywhere without that.
That's more like Jell-O, man.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that is true. All right. So next group on the work here was Full Scale Creature Effects by Amalgamated Dynamics, which we brought up. They created the Warmech, which is still really, really cool.
And Stampy.
Yep. But yeah, so there's a couple guys on here that like Robert Clark, Horatio Fernandez, Brent Armstrong, Linda Frobos, Susan Spector. They were the sculptors, so they probably worked on the two bugs that were definitely used all the time. And anytime that there was even the chariot bug that Rico flipped over, probably was made by them.
That's the Sarkarian sand beetle. Come on.
Oh, jeez. All right, whatever.
No, not whatever. We did this movie minute by minute. You got to get the damn things right.
All right. So the beetle that was flipped over by Rico, I'm pretty sure.
Sarkarian sand beetle.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure was worked on by these people. If not as a group, but definitely they put in their individual efforts to make this movie exactly what they did.
No, they definitely did. I mean, they had the air bladder thing, the horse hair, and everything that we talked about earlier in the movie as well, too.
Yeah. And then there's Dan Brodzik. Mikey Larrabee, Steve Busceno, and Doug Stewart. They were the painting department. So every time we were like, oh, this thing is painted like this and this thing is painted like that. I think the marking is supposed to be like this. Definitely those guys were the ones that worked on it.
Mm-hmm. I moved on to music, and one thing that really sticks out to me, Electric Violin by Kat Evans. So she probably helped out Jake Busey quite a bit as well too. But I mean, all the music, especially the Tim Boyle, who recorded and mixed all the music as well too. I mean, to score a huge movie and make sure it sounds correctly, edit it back together, mix it all together. I mean, you know how to do it. Specifically, Johan knows how difficult this stuff is, because he has done music editing as well too, but it's a difficult thing. But to make it sound as it did, I mean, we're still listening to a little bit of music during these credits too, but the music in this movie, again, Kevin Yeager Productions, Phil Tippett, Verhoeven, the music, I mean, Paul Doris. I mean, you take any of those parts out, this movie's just not that good. It is a culmination of one, of all these people. And then we get the music listing of, all the tracks that was on this movie. Into It by Zoe Palladores. I've Not Been to Oxygen, again, by Zoe Palladores. It's nice to be the composer's daughter. Pier 13, all this other stuff as well too. 1997 TriStar Pictures, filmed at Sony Studios, Culver City, California. Guys, we're done.
Wow.
This is it. I mean, we're just getting the special thanks from, Wyoming, South Dakota, and loving memory of Gavin Garrity and Tom O'Halloran, color and Technicolor. The number on this one is 34343 for the Motion Picture Association of America.
Yeah, and the Adidas was a special thanks because we did see them in the jump ball uniforms.
Oh, you know what? Let's go back a little bit because yes, there was a list of all the product placements and whatnot as well too. Yes, we got a couple of them. But yeah, the special thanks for Orange County Film Commission, Orange County, California, Kaiser Permanente Foundation of Hospitals, of course.
Yeah, that's
Adidas Airwalk.
The Kaiser Foundation. To just a quick reminder, guys, that's where they check their scores. Their test scores.
Yes.
And then we had Adidas, and then Airwalk, which was the shoes that the troopers actually wore, and then Rusty. Rusty's a surfboard company.
There was a couple of those stickers on the side of Carl's empty computer case.
Yes. And then in loving memory with Gavin Garrity and Tom O'Halloran, I looked them up. They were second ADs, assistant directors with Verhoeven on Showgirls.
Oh.
So that's why it's in loving memory of the two of them, because they both worked with them at the same time in the same film. And then Technicolor, long history with them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Motion Picture of Association number is 34343. Just a nice number.
Yep. American Humane Association monitored the animal action. I don't remember.
Cow.
Oh, geez. The cow. I keep forgetting about that. Because I was thinking about the dog, and the dog was fake, but I was still mad about that. Yeah,
cow.
So I guess a cow wasn't hurt.
Yeah, cow wasn't hurt. It's fine.
Yep.
They just needed them in for one day. But guys, that's it. That's the end of the credits. We are done with our movie.
Yep. So, final credit here was TriStar Films.
Mm-hmm. And we went over them at the very beginning of the movie as well, too.
Yep. Wow. It's the end.
This is it. Yeah. Man, gosh, what a wild journey we've been on. I mean, this is a 9-month endeavor that we've been on. If this was a baby, it'd be, ready to be born, guys.
Yeah.
We did this, from more often than not, we did this 3 times a week. Or we did launch an episode 3 times a week, and we made sure that it tried to come out on time. Last couple days we weren't able to because, my son was being a little brat, but other than that.
Yeah, Matt was trying to see, should I make up a reason of why it didn't come out? No, people understand real life.
My son decided that he wanted to play with the talcum powder, and it got everywhere.
Yeah. See, I used to do that when I was a kid, but I would spray it down the toilet and watch it go down the hole. Water go down the hole. But yeah, that's about it. I didn't spray it everywhere. Never did that. But I'm pretty sure it got in a lot of places because it is powder. But yeah, I thought it was funny too because I was waiting for Matt to record, and then he says like, can we do it like a different time because my kid got into like all this.
Oh gosh, is there anyone you want to thank?
Oh man, I know we have a list of all the people that worked on it, but all the people that actually did the work on the film. Like, if I could actually just like thank them all, I would, because I love this movie.
Yes. I mean, it's a little bit bittersweet now because, we are at the end. Both of us have been kind of itching for this time just because it's taken so long. It's a labor of love. But, I mean, we've done it. We're finished, but I kind of miss it now. We're not going to be able to do this again.
Yeah.
This movie again is what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I want to thank everybody that worked on this film and actually did it is because we will get a lot of people to come onto this podcast because of their love for the film. I mean, how else can that happen,
I mean, we're not doing a movie by minute by any like really, really dumb movie.
Yeah, that's true. Like Sixth Day.
Hey man, you haven't watched it, you don't know. You haven't watched it. I mean, when you watch it, then you can say you don't like it, right?
All right.
I want to thank all of our guests, all of them, for coming on and helping us out with, their love, their appreciation for this movie, and their expertise for this movie as well too. In particular, I want to thank John Robert Wilson and Crystal Beth for giving us the idea to do a Movies by Minute podcast, for having them, be so friendly to us, even though they're big shot podcasters, Unlimited Lives, The Fifth Element, and whatnot as well too. Also want to thank George Hendricks, again, a big shot podcaster, for Mogwai Minute. I heard him and his partner are starting to start doing something as of this recording. So good on them. Go listen to them, Mogwai Minute. Also want to thank Jonathan Howell of Minute Impossible, and also his co-host as well too. Gosh, those guys, they're doing it even more than us. They had it prepared, and they are almost finished as well too. Gosh, I mean, that's one movie in my by minute podcast that I continue to listen to constantly. There's only a few because a lot of them are finished now, but there's still a few in that I have a backlog of, and that's one of them that I just will listen to in a loop almost. I also want to thank Alex Thompson of Galaxy Quest Minute. Again, another amazing Movies by Minute podcast. Another one that I still have in backlog that I do play in a loop as well too, in conjunction with Minute Impossible. And then I also want to thank Chris Bergsma, my friend from local over here, for helping me out in our first couple episodes when we needed a guest. Wanted to thank Kristen Sanchez, one of our fans as well too, who was so gracious to be on our podcast with us to help us with some military help as well too, letting us know what we're getting wrong, what we're getting right, and just for just being there, being a fan of us, and being a fan of the pod, and also being a fan of the movie as well. And I also want to thank John Papa Giorgio, host of Papa's Basement, another podcast that I listen to. Those episodes were a little raunchy, and I will admit we did lose a couple listeners because of those. But you know what? He was a great guy. I love him. And, I don't regret it at all.
I wasn't here for those moments, so.
No, you weren't. You would have loved it, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, I mean, those were all. And I want to thank John, Robert, and Crystal for being on our cast multiple times.
Yeah,
they were the ones who were saying, when they were done with Fifth Element, they were wanting to do this particular movie, but they give us their blessing. They let us know that, hey, you guys can go do it. We love it. Just let us know if you want us to be on there. We will love to be on there anytime. And they were. At a drop of a hat, if I said, hey, we're recording in an hour, are you okay? Do you want to do this? And he's like, yeah, dude, let's do it. But guys, the major person I want to thank is you, the listener, the person who is listening to my dumb voice right now, listening to me talk about all of our guests, all of you as well too. I know it is kind of pedantic and kind of like sappy as well too, but I really do want to thank you. We don't have a lot of listeners, but the ones that are listening, the ones that are downloading, the ones that are sharing us, thank you guys so much for sticking with us all through this movie. And I really hope that we did this movie right. I hope that you are satisfied with the 121, 22 episodes, I don't remember how many, that we've done. Gosh, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Man, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I know. It's just gonna be weird to watch a movie now, like knowing all the ins and outs, and I'm sure that's gonna be with everybody else that did listen to this show. I hope we were in part with helping blow your minds a bit on this film, because we were learning it with you on certain parts. Some of them were just like, it was obvious, like everybody knew certain facts, like the shower scene. A lot of people heard about that rumor about Verhoeven being naked and all that. But as far as like the in detail production, all the people that worked on it, what they worked on before, how there was a correlation with certain films and whatnot, all of that we found out almost at the same time as everybody else. We were just kind of like the medium that it went through. So there's just some people that they said like, wow, this is kind of cool that you figured it, or you pointed this out. And even people that I talked to when they were asking me, just normal people, what's your podcast about? And I tell them about the latest thing I found out, and they're just like, oh, really? That's kind of weird. It just, yeah. It's just kind of cool that we had that little bit of information to just make mundane information that just put a little bit of spark into this movie that people have loved for so many years. Yeah, it is going to be weird that we're going to be done with it, but it's one of those, like you said, it is bittersweet, because kind of glad that it's over, but at the same time it's just like, it's weird that it's done, type of thing. I'm gonna kind of miss it, but at the same time I'm not going to. It's just really weird. I guess like recording podcasts was fun, but it's kind of good to be able to move on. Really hoping that you guys will follow along with us with the next project that we have lined up. We're definitely going to take a break. I believe that it's well-deserved and well-earned. And we also have to do some reformatting on how we do the show, some new ideas from other people that have joined us. Definitely we copied some ideas from the Minute Impossible guys. We got new equipment to make our recording a little bit better. That's why some of the stuff in the beginning sounds way different than the way it was now. We definitely grew on this show, which definitely makes it something that was really cool for us, because we thought we were doing things pretty well when we first started. Then we realized we were nowhere near doing things good. So just hoping we can keep going on and making things a little bit better, and especially if you guys stay with us, that maybe you will see the things we change, and maybe you won't, but definitely we're gonna keep striving to make a better and better recording every time.
Definitely, guys. And once again, thank you guys so much for listening to us. Johan, do you want to say anything else particular about the movie and the podcast?
Boost McGee, if you're out there, please contact us.
We love you.
Yeah, but I think it's done.
All right. For the last time, Johan, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch and Instagram at JDASHD26. You guys can find me on Twitter at OMG It's Johan.
And guys, you can go, of course, follow me, contact me anytime on AltTabMatt, pretty much anywhere on the internet, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter. We will still be active on our Facebook group, the Roughneck Minute Billet, BILLET. So go ahead and continue the conversation of our movies by minute that we are now finished with there, and just continue, talking to us. I mean, Christian Sanchez, the guy who, was on our podcast, one of our fans, has been posting, great stuff to me, and I posted it back on there of his XCOM squad that is straight out of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, their armor is awesome.
Yeah, he sent me that photo. That was actually really, really cool.
It is great looking. You guys can also follow us because we will still be reposting any of the other Movies by Minute stuff as well too from our other sister Movies by Minute podcasts from like Minute Impossible, The Wilder Ride. I'm hoping they're doing great jobs on Young Frankenstein right now, but they're doing all the Gene Wilder movies, most of them anyway, I think. But yeah, I mean, we'll still be on there on Twitter at The Roughneck Min as well too. And go ahead and if you want to, restart this podcast, you can at the Roughneck Minute. I'm sorry. You can restart this podcast at theroughneckmin.podbean.com for any past episodes or show notes, because after this, all of them will be past episodes. I'm getting a little teary. And go ahead and if you really enjoyed this podcast, I know we did. Go ahead and subscribe, rate, and review us, even though, again, we're not finished. We may do one-offs. We may do, like, retrospects of movies that we watched. The sixth day. But who knows? We still will release stuff, and we will definitely post them on our Facebook group and the Instagram of Facebook the Facebook group and Twitter as well too, to let you guys know, hey, something's coming up. We may have a movie that we're going to post on the feed as well too. But guys, thank you again so much for listening to us. I've been your host, Matthew.
And I've been your other host, Johan.
And we'll see you on the Bounce Troopers.